If you've been feeling depressed and hopeless lately, seeing everything happening in Palestine, you're definitely not alone. But just remember, that's exactly how the state wants you to feel. And actually, I think when we look at some of the other things happening around the world, there's a lot of reason to think that we're closer to winning than it might seem. For example, in Israel, the Israeli economy is continuing to collapse. Tens of thousands of businesses have closed, billions are being pulled out in investments, and boycott campaigns have led to Israeli universities and sports teams becoming more and more isolated from the world. And don't forget, Netanyahu is still fighting corruption charges, and his only hope for keeping power is by continuing the genocide. But the thing is, many Israelis are sick of him and the far right, and it's causing huge conflicts. A former Israeli Supreme Court chief has even said recently that Israel is on the brink of civil war. Internationally, the South African ICJ case is not going away. It's only getting stronger now that Ireland has joined, and the ICJ has even declared Israel to be an illegal state, and Israeli soldiers are now facing war crime charges when they travel. And countries all over the world, including major Western ones, are sponsoring the Gaza reconstruction plan put forth by Arab countries. And in America, we're seeing new levels of anti-Palestinian repression. But we know from history that these types of fascistic policies are used when the ruling class feel that they're losing control. When you look at the divide for support for Israel, it's not based on political ideology, it's generational. Young people on either side of the political spectrum do not like apartheid regimes, which means that there's a countdown for the support for Israel. And yes, the US is bombing Yemen and interfering in Syria and Lebanon, all while providing the weapons to Israel. But this level of pressure is on the backdrop of a potential conflict with China. It's in Trump's best interest to try to force a fast conclusion in Gaza so that they can turn their focus to China. I don't want to discount the violence we're seeing. It's horrible and it's rightfully terrifying. But at the same time, I don't want you to think that our actions have had no effect. They absolutely have. And the brutality we're seeing in Gaza, the West Bank, and the US are direct responses to our work. This is a really helpful graphic that I like by an activist named Bill Moyer called the 8 stages of a social movement. Obviously, this is a bit generalized and social movements don't follow this exactly, but I think this is a helpful graphic for some perspective. But the part that I'm really interested in is stage 5, which is called failure. Bill Moyer points out that in most social movements, there's a stage where the activist actually thinks that they've failed. But critically, that's actually the moment right before things start to turn around. And I think this is where we are right now. This isn't me saying to relax. This is me saying don't stop. We always have to remember the state wants us to feel useless and apathetic. They want us to give up. But that's the exact moment when we need to keep pushing. So here is what you're going to do. If you're in the position to donate monetarily, buying and donating an eSIM is still one of the best ways to support journalists and families on the ground in Gaza. Keep boycotting every single brand on the BDS list and any Israeli product. But most importantly, organize. Join a pro-Palestinian or a leftist group that is organizing in your community and help them out on the ground or remotely. For more information about how to be politically active, check out theconsciouscitizens.org. Whatever it is, do at least one thing today in support of a free Palestine.